Hello again, children. Let's meet the prophet Jeremiah, one of the bravest voices in the Bible. In this Catechism for Kids episode, we celebrate his feast day on May 1st in the Roman Catholic calendar. However, in some local liturgical calendars and Eastern Catholic or Orthodox traditions, Jeremiah is honored on July 21st. Jeremiah was a prophet in the Old Testament, who lived about 600 years before Jesus. God chose him to speak to the people of Judah. They were turning away from God. Jeremiah told them to come back to God, or they would face trouble. Jeremiah was from a small town called Anathoth. He was young when God called him. At first he was afraid, told God he was too young and did not know how to speak. But God said he would be with him. God gave him the words to say. Jeremiah's time was full of danger. People were sinning. They worshipped false gods. They did not listen to God's law. Jeremiah had to speak hard words to them. He warned them that Jerusalem would be destroyed if they did not change. The king and priests did not like what Jeremiah said. The people laughed at him. Some wanted him dead. But Jeremiah kept going. He trusted God, even when it was hard. Jeremiah is important because he stayed faithful. He did what God asked, even when no one listened. His words are still read today. They help us understand God's justice and mercy. God chose Jeremiah before he was born. He said, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." This shows that God had a plan for him. Jeremiah did not choose this job. God gave it to him. When Jeremiah heard God's call, he was scared. He said, "I am only a boy." But God told him not to be afraid. God would protect him. God would make him strong. God gave Jeremiah a message for the people. He told them they were breaking the covenant. They were worshiping idols and doing evil. God told Jeremiah to warn them. Jeremiah preached for many years, told the people to turn back to God. He said if they did not change, the Babylonians would come. They would destroy Jerusalem and take the people away. Most people ignored him. Some mocked him, so others got angry. But Jeremiah kept speaking. He obeyed God, even when it brought him trouble. Jeremiah shows us how to say yes to God. He reminds us that God has a plan for each person. We may be weak, but God gives us what we need. Jeremiah is often called the weeping prophet. He cried many times. He loved his people. He did not want to see them suffer, but he knew they would not change. People laughed at Jeremiah. He said he was always full of bad news. Some leaders beat him and put him in prison. Others threw him in a pit. He almost died more than once. Jeremiah felt very alone. Sometimes he asked God why this was happening, even said he wished he had never been born. But even in sadness, he kept praying. Jeremiah wrote down his prayers. He told God all his pain, said he trusted God, even when it felt like God was far away. His prayers became part of the Bible. He also felt God's pain. God was hurt because his people had turned away. Jeremiah felt this deeply. He wanted the people to come back to God. Even when he was tired and afraid, Jeremiah did not give up. He stayed with God. His life teaches us how to be faithful when things are hard. Jeremiah did not only speak of punishment, he also spoke about hope. He told the people that God would not forget them. After the exile, God would bring them back home, said there would be a new covenant. It would not be written on stone, but on people's hearts. His covenant would be full of mercy and love. God would forgive sins and remember them no more. This message gave comfort. Even though the people had sinned, God still loved them, would not leave them forever, would rebuild what had been broken. Jeremiah also spoke about a good shepherd. It's pointed to someone who would care for God's people. Christians see this as a sign of Jesus. God used Jeremiah to prepare the way for something better. Jeremiah's words showed that God brings healing after sorrow. He does not leave his people in the dark. This hope still speaks to us. Even when we fall, God invites us back. His mercy is bigger than our sin. The book of Jeremiah is one of the longest books in the Bible. It tells the story of Jeremiah's work and message. It also shows his prayers and struggles. Some parts are stories, other parts are poems or speeches. The book tells how God warned the people through Jeremiah, also shows how they refused to listen. Then it tells about the fall of Jerusalem. Many people died or were taken far away. Another book, called Lamentations, is often linked to Jeremiah. It is full of sorrow and grief. It speaks about the ruins of Jerusalem. It shows deep sadness. but also hope in God's mercy. These books are still read in the church today. They help people pray during hard times. They remind us that God sees our pain. They also remind us that God is just and good. Jeremiah's words are sometimes hard to hear, but they are true. They call us to change our lives and turn to God. These books are a gift. They show that God still speaks, even through tears. The church honors Jeremiah as a great prophet. His life points to Jesus. Like Jeremiah, Jesus was rejected. He also spoke the truth and suffered for it. Jeremiah's words about the new covenant come true in Jesus. Jeremiah teaches us to trust God even when life is painful. He shows that speaking the truth can be costly, but it is always worth it. The church sees Jeremiah as a model of courage and faith. He obeyed God when it was hard. He stayed close to God through prayer. His life was not easy, but it was full of purpose. We can learn from Jeremiah today. He reminds us to speak with honesty and to pray with trust. He shows that God never gives up on his people. In the Roman martyrology, Jeremiah is remembered on May 1st. His feast day is a time to give thanks for his witness. He spoke God's word with boldness and love. Jeremiah's story is part of our story. His voice still calls us to follow God with all our heart. So, children, what can we learn about Prophet Jeremiah? Jeremiah's life shows what it means to follow God when no one else wants to. He was not popular. People ignored him, laughed at him, and even tried to kill him, but he kept going. He stayed true to what God told him to say. That takes courage. Many of us try to avoid trouble. Jeremiah walked right into it because he loved God more than comfort. He also shows us that it's okay to be sad. Jeremiah cried often. He felt pain for his people. He did not pretend everything was fine. He brought his sadness to God. He spoke honestly to him. Sometimes we think we should always be strong or happy, but Jeremiah shows that faith includes sorrow and tears too. Jeremiah did not see the results of his work. He warned the people, but they did not change. He stayed faithful anyway. He trusted that his work mattered, even if it did not seem to work. That is a good lesson. We may not always see the good that comes from doing what is right, but it still matters. Jeremiah also spoke about hope. Even when things were falling apart, he trusted that God would make things right again. He believed that mercy would come. That kind of hope is strong. It helps people keep going even when everything looks lost. Okay, kids, that's all for this episode about Prophet Jeremiah. If you like this video, please do share and subscribe to our channel. See you again next time, and God bless you always.